Good afternoon. My name is Jason Dunn, and this is my presentation for case 6-4. This case it deals with Enron Corporation, which is a natural gas and energy firm that was very prevalent in the mid 1990s and into the early 2000s. At the end of the day, Enron eventually went bankrupt because of very ambitious, you know, moves from their upper executives, shady accounting principles, and basically just mistrust. And that they went bankrupt in about 2001, late 2001, and we're going to get into why that happened and if there was anything that I might have done differently, if I had any say in it, and if I was an employee. So the three questions we got to answer. The first question, it wants me to make myself a young employee there that is working under their rank and yank system. And that basically means that each employee semi-annually is graded on their performance from a scale of 1 through 5, 1 and 2 being the best, where you're profitable for the company, making money for them, and you're going to get a good bonus at the end, and then all the way down to 5, which means basically you're not doing anything, you're not being profitable, and they're going to basically fire you or let you go, or try to assign you to some other role that is redundant and eventually will be let go. So the whole aspect of that, I actually appreciate. Me being young myself, a young professional, I like the idea of betting on myself and making sure that I have potentially unlimited income. However, in a situation like this, where there's no job security at all, it's very, very sketchy. It's very unreliable at that too, because if I have a bad quarter or a bad year, and that might not even be my fault, it might be the company's fault because they're not being as profitable as they can, where the management is leading us in the wrong direction, and just because I have a bad year and it's not my fault, I could be potentially let go. So I don't like that at all. I don't like how I'm very replaceable. I want to be in a position where I'm needed, relied upon, and I can't just be replaced by the next person that just graduated with the same degree I have. I want to be able to have specific skills that they're looking for and that they want to keep. And honestly, if along with their shady accounting principles, that would be something where I would look at it and I'd be like, I don't know if this is going to last. If I actually knew what was going on, I'm sure people in my position theoretically didn't know, but that would be a moral, ethical red flag for me, because just because those accounting principles were deemed to be okay by the auditor and all that, I would say I don't know how well this is going to work in the future, how long it's going to last. What's the staying power of this? How come we're the only people doing this? It's great to be a trailblazer, but at the same time, a lot of those trailblazers, they end up losing everything. So that would be the first red flag for me. And especially just the overall culture of it all. It's very cutthroat. I know that's the way business is everywhere in the world. However, you eventually, so at some point, you got to take care of your employees. You have to be loyal to them, and you have to empower them. I think they're just looking for anybody who can just get them to the next quota to be the most profitable, and if you can't, then they have no use for you. So that would be a little, I'm not really big on that. So after working with them for a little while, I would probably be looking for other career opportunities that are more stable and more reliable. Now, question 2 deals with the actual fall off of Enron. They made a couple bad deals in India. Let's see, I'm reading it right here. And they owned a generating station at Teesside in northern England. And they also had another factory in India as well. Now, both of these investments turned out very bad. India had some political dealings because they changed political parties in the middle of this. So Enron made deals with the original political party, and now that changed, they had problems. So it did not end up very well. They ended up having to sell both of those factories and stations, and it did not work out very well. It's asking me how would I change, how would I reason with upper management and the upper executives doing all this. I would say, first and foremost, slow down. We're already a $1 billion company. There's no need to try to go into these different countries, make these backdoor deals with all these politicians and everything like that, just so we can expand to these factories and these, everything, all this, brick and mortar offices and everything that we need over there. We're doing just fine. Let's go about this the right way, because I truly believe there was way too much greed going on with this. Before they even tried to expand to India and England, we're already $1 billion company. I'm going to say that again. We're $1 billion company, multi-billion dollar. So what's the rush? I understand you always got to evolve in business. You always have to, keep up to date and find new ways to be successful and make money. But let's slow down. Let's do things the right way. Let's not make any rash decisions that's going to hurt us legally, financially, and by our reputation. And I would just stress that to them. I know I can't really speak on the particulars. There's financial dealings with this case and political stuff with this case that goes way over my head. It's one of the more complex things I've read, so I'm not even going to try to get into that. But just from an ethical standpoint and morally, I would say slow down. Let's think about it. Let's make sure we're doing this the right way, legally, and makes sense for everybody. And so we can actually, make sure we have staying power, and we're not just a flash in the pan like this was. Like Enron was literally less than 10 years was its prime. Like the mid-90s, we're booming, we're taking off. We merged with the other companies, then we took off, we're making billions of dollars, but by early 2000s, we declared bankruptcy. So we got to look at the long run here, not just try to jump on everything that moves. All right, now question 3 is, it says, suppose that Kenneth Lay had asked Vinson and Elkins, who is the Houston law firm that had advised Enron for years, to evaluate the performance measures, the incentive payments, the prohibited procedures, and the leadership actions that were alleged to have led to the very large and very risky investment at Teesside and in Maharashtra, which is the India. And suppose that you were part of a managerial consulting team employed by that law firm to make that evaluation. What, if any, changes we have recommended? It goes just like what I said with question 2. Slow down. Let's actually not do this. Let's not go to India, because the region in India where we were at was the poorest state of that country. And we should have known that there was a political election coming up that potentially changed parties, that could potentially cause problems for us. What the problem with Enron was, we're all thinking about right now, today. We're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not thinking about next month. We're not thinking about next year. And that's the problem. When you're dealing with a big corporation like this, it's not about today, it's about tomorrow. The decisions we make today will affect tomorrow and next year. And this is clearly what happened. Kenneth Lay was he got in way over his head, way too ambitious and greedy for his own good. I want to make $1 billion just like the next person. You offer me $1 billion right now, I'm not going to say no to it. And if you do, you're crazy, and I question you a little bit. However, you got to do things the right way. You got to go ask your board of directors and make sure you heed their advice. And you have to get people you trust and who are ethically and, morally correct. Like you can't just, sell your soul basically for $1 billion today and not worry about what happens tomorrow. Because you're going to be happy today, but then you're going to 5 years later, you're going to lose your company, bankrupt, you be out of a job, be, tied up in a bunch of legal issues and financial issues, and then where are we at? So my advice to them would slow down. Let's make sure we're doing this the right way. Let's think about the company's long-term future, how we can make the most money in the long run, not just right now. I promise you those billions aren't going anywhere if we do it the right way. They're still going to be there. Let's treat our employees right. Let's retain them a little bit. Let's train them correctly. And so we don't have to do this, rank and yank process like that. I don't think that's very sustainable. So from the get-go, the principles of Enron were never supposed to be sustainable, in my opinion. The rank and yank is the perfect example. You're not going to keep employees like that. And if the employees do consistently actually, perform well, they're going to get burned out. So you're going to be changing over employees anyways. So this whole thing has just been a complete flop and failure. just because they didn't err on the side of sustainability, and they didn't try to take it slow and build it block by block. They brought the whole house and they threw all the bricks on it and just said, here it is. They didn't do it slowly, block by block. That's my main thing. There's a lot more that goes into it than that, obviously. I've said it, I'll say it again. There's a lot of financials, legal, political stuff in this case that is way over my head. It's one of the more complex things I've ever read and had to speak on. However, I do know a little bit about, basic business, and this is a clear case of doing too much, not being sustainable, and rushing it. If you don't rush it, you heed your advice from your board and your legal and your people who are giving you legal advice and business advice. You take it one day at a time. You do what's right for your employees and what's right for your future. You're probably not going to go wrong. Instead, we're greedy, we rushed it, and we tried to get as much as we could as fast as we could, and it ended up being bankrupt in under 10 years. That's just my opinion on it all. I'm sure there's people out there that can tell you way better than me, but if it was me running Enron, we never would have been in India or England, and if we were, it would have been after years and years of planning and negotiating all of it. So that's just my opinion. Slower. Turtle won the race, not the hare. Take it slow. Think about your future. Think about your employees, and take it one step at a time. Other than that, I think it speaks for itself. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jason Dunn, and this has been my presentation on case 6-4.